Alrighty then. Good morning, Cyber Warriors, and I am going to take the time today to answer a question that a number of folks have had, which is, "Hey, Kilt Guy, how do I actually write a script?" So let's start writing the scripts. Okay. So taking a look at this, we're going to uh, edit a script, right? So we want to sit there and continue and build the script off of all of the things that we've done so far. We've put a bunch of little pieces together over time, piecemeal here and there, and now we want to go in and edit the scripts that we have. And I've put all of the different things that we've done in the past into a single script called script.ps1. So we're going to go in and we're going to right click and we're going to edit, because we want to make changes, or we want to make it so that it is a little more user friendly for when we pass it to the next person or someone else has to look at it and work on it. So the easy way to get into PowerShell scripts to edit them, because the default editor is the PowerShell ISE, and it's able to do a whole lot of stuff. Now, do you see what the problem with this is, though? The problem with taking shortcuts like that, while very handy for a lot of things, doesn't allow you to necessarily test all the things we need to be able to test. Because even though it shows right here that this is in the System32 directory, this actually isn't an administrator command prompt. If you looked up here, it doesn't say administrator up as part of the title. Luckily, I'd already started one. So you notice it says administrator. When we're doing testing for scripts that we've created, and there are some functions that are required to be an administrator for, always make sure that you're testing as an administrator, or potentially you'll get errors you won't necessarily have previously running it normally. Okay, so just one of those things you have to pay attention to. So each one of these different things, I've got them all separated out over by a space, an empty return in between each of them, to break them up into the different things we have different videos for. And if one of these is not familiar, you may want to go back and take a look at some of the previous videos. But the net results, this is where we go and net TCP connection, and we collect the extra process information that we need to know in order to find out the type VNC is running on this particular system, right? And we use that to go in and do the process killing. But we can't do that automatically. This is a data collection thing. So since it's data collection, we're going to pull it into a variable we call net results. The next block here on line number 6 is the run results, where we're going to get everything in the run and run once registry key. And we have another variable that we can actually use. The next portion is where we're disabling, we're creating stuff and disabling things in the Win logon section. And then after that, we have we're changing the default port for RDP. And you notice this is a little bit different than what we had before. Before, we just simply defined it. And that is great for a lot of different things. But sometimes if you're moving between organizations or sections within the same organization, you may have to change that value. So what I've done is I've changed it so that it will actually prompt you for what port to use to create that variable. And we'll show you that right here. All right, so we're going to copy this. And we're going to paste it. Let me move this up so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So there's the variable. We're pushing that to read host, and we're prompting the user to actually, the person who's running the script, to actually provide the information. And this is how it looks. So it'll actually say enter the new port value for this. So usually for the previous one we did 3390, and this one we're going to do 9833, which is the port in reverse. All right. Now we test it by bringing it up. Oh, sorry, not port number, port value. There it is. Okay. I want to make sure that I have. Yep, it is the same variable name across all of those. Okay. All right, so there's that section. And then there is the one that we just did in the last video, which has where we're testing to see if a registry key exists. And if it doesn't exist, create it and then create information or properties inside that key. So that is the reason why we did it that way, is so we can put it into a script. So we don't have to do it normally. And you notice that I added a little something here, which is end if, which is something that I found very useful. My instructor for PowerShell scripting was very adamant about when you're doing a for loop or an if loop, or anytime you get to the end of that loop, you put a comment in there to make it easy for someone to recognize this is where the end of that is. They're not always going to be looking at it from this type of view, which identifies that quickly, because we can see if we do this, boop, now it truncates that so that all of the other stuff is inside it, and that's our for or our if loop right there. Okay, so what is something that is direly needed with this script that isn't there? If you said comments, you're 100% correct. And what comments are little areas which define or provide individual information and context to each of the different portions you're doing. It is very important to have comments in your code so people can understand, even if they're not very good at programming, they'll be able to look at it and go, oh, I know what this next section is for, and so I can either research that and then figure out how to work it or fix it if something's broken or something along those lines. It really, really helps, especially if you're passing code from one person to the next. Maybe you are the person who writes the code on your team and you're sick the day of competition. You get your script out to your competitor, your teammates, and they have to look at it and go, I have no idea what this means. And they have no way of testing it and checking it. And they're not allowed to phone a friend. It's not Jeopardy. It's not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That's the game show where you can phone a friend. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through and identify a few bits of information and show you two different ways to do commenting inside your script so that people can read your code. All right, so we're going to get to the very beginning, and we're going to do a greater than hashtag symbol. I'm going to do a couple of carriage turns and end the greater than. Right? That didn't work the way we expected it to. There it is. See? So what this does with the greater than hashtag and hashtag less than is it allows you to create a multi-line area for comments. You can do a hashtag at the beginning of each of the different lines of the comments for different things, but I don't like to do that for a particular section. If I'm going to have multiple lines for my comments, this is the way I will do it. If I only have a single line or a single small section for the comment, just the hashtag, the title, or whatever that portion is going to do for it, all right? So what you generally want to do is identify who the author is. All right, I'm the Kilt Guy. So this was created by me, and this is designed to accomplish multiple actions for Cyber Patriot competitions. All right. Simple. Doesn't have to be super complex. It is better if you have a really complex one, if you have additional information, greater pieces and parts of that. It's just good practice to do. One of the things that is really also good programming to do is create your environmentals, or at least set the foundation for them. And the environmentals, these are your variables. And if you're going to have a function, something that is repeatably going to be called throughout, you probably want to create those as a function, so that you can actually call them multiple times, and it's easy to do. And I'll teach you in a different video how to do all of that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the variables that we have created. This is net results, run results, and port value are our three. So we're just going to do net results. And we create an empty value like that. Just basically, we're telling the script this is going to be a thing. It'll be defined later. Or at least we're telling people who are going to use the script that that's the thing, which will be defined later. I'm too lazy to type all that again, so I'm just going to go and copy and double quotes, and then the next one. Go back up. Okay. So we have that. We're going to call this environmentals. This portion is collecting information on ports and services and processes that are listening or established. Okay. This is collecting information from the run and run once registry keys. And the next section modifying the when log on registry keys. And I'm going to do this as a multi-line. And this is disable auto admin logon, add warning banner. Okay. And the next we have changing the default port for RDP and allowing through the firewall. And lastly, we have disabling the alert notification center. Okay, so it's adding just a handful of lines to the code. It doesn't really do a whole lot for the code itself, except for provide context for anyone looking at it. And these are all the different commands that we have done in the past, some of them with some minor modifications. And this is simple. This is scripting. And this is how easy it is to create these scripts, to get them up and available for you to use for Cyber Patriot competitions or adapt for real world scenarios. All of these things are perfectly fine to sit there and utilize in a production environment if your company or organization allows it. Don't beg for forgiveness. Get approval. All right. So that's it. It's just a matter of saving it, and then we can run it. And it should prompt us for a port. Maybe I need to get a little coffee break. There we go. Enter the new port number for RDP, and this is going to be 3390, just because we're going to go back to that other one. There's our firewall rule in for TCP, firewall rule in for UDP, and then done. So let's take a look to see what our variables are, right? So make sure that those got created properly. We know that they did, but we're just going to trust, and well, we're going to verify, not just trust. So net results, we see that as allowed variable. Boom. There it is. We've got stuff, and it includes the process name, which is not a default portion of the output. Great. So let's go back up here a little bit and then run results. There we have our run and run once keys. That's perfect. And then our port value should be 3390. Outstanding. It's all done. There you go. It's a lot simpler than a lot of people think. So how about it? Scripts are actually a lot easier to write than you probably thought. They're basically just saving all the commands we've already done in the past into a single file so that it can go through and do all of the things that we would have done just in command line, except you're doing it all at once. So you saw how fast that particular script ran compared to having to type all those commands over and over and over and over again. Now you can grab this and run it on multiple computers. It's portable. It allows you to go from here to there, and who knows? You can even go through and make yours better. I challenge you to make yours better. There's always more to do. There's always more to do. And good luck. And as always, happy hunting. And I'll see you in the next video.